What is up, everyone? Welcome back to Top Chill Play. Today we're covering 10 anime series you can actually finish complete, self-contained, and short enough to binge in one sitting or a chill weekend. No filler arcs, no waiting for season 8, no open endings that lead nowhere. Just solid shows with a real start and a real finish. Before we dive in, if you enjoy this kind of content, drop a like and hit subscribe. It takes 2 seconds and it genuinely helps the channel grow. Now let's get into it. Number 10. Erased. So the setup here is a 9-year-old manga artist named Satoru, who has an involuntary ability he calls revival whenever something bad is about to happen nearby. He gets sent back a few minutes in time and gets a chance to stop it. He doesn't control it, it just happens. He's been living with this for a while and mostly uses it reactively. Things shift when a traumatic event in the present triggers revival on a completely different scale than anything he's experienced before. Instead of going back minutes, he ends up years in the past, back in his childhood, in the same town, around the same people he grew up with. He starts connecting what's happening in the past to something he never fully understood when he was a kid, and that becomes the central mystery driving the whole show. What makes this one stand out is how it handles both sides of the story, the thriller mechanics and the more personal, character-driven material. It doesn't sacrifice one for the other. At 12 episodes, it's tight, it moves with purpose, and it builds toward a resolution that actually pays off the setup. If you like mystery anime that commit to their premise and follow through, this one is a solid starting point. Number 9. Life Lessons with Uramichi Oniya-san. This one is a comedy built around a very specific premise. Uramichi Omoda is a 31-year-old former gymnast who works as the exercise host on a children's educational TV show. On camera, his job is to be upbeat, positive, and encouraging for the kids. The gap between that public persona and his actual internal state is where the entire show lives. His co-workers are all dealing with their own version of the same thing. People who ended up in children's entertainment for various reasons. Going through the motions of cheerfulness while carrying around the standard wear and tear of adult life, the show doesn't have a dramatic narrative arc. It's episodic, character-driven, and runs almost entirely on the comedic contrast between the saccharine world of the TV show and the reality underneath it. The humor works because the characters are well drawn, and the writing doesn't over-explain the joke. It trusts that you get it. The show tends to land harder the older you are, and the further you are from thinking adulthood was going to look a specific way. 13 episodes, fully self-contained, and easy to pick up at any point. Number 8. A Place Further Than the Universe. The premise is 4 high school girls joining a civilian expedition to Antarctica, which sounds niche, but the show earns that setting completely. The story starts with Mari, a second-year student who has been telling herself she wants to make the most of her youth without ever actually acting on it. She crosses paths with Shirase, a girl who has had one very specific goal for years and has been quietly working toward it regardless of what anyone around her thinks. From there, 2 more girls join the group, each with their own reasons for going, and the show follows the whole process, planning, preparing, and eventually making it to the ice. The Antarctica setting gives the series a scope and physical stakes that most slice-of-life anime don't have. But the show never loses its focus on the 4 characters and what this trip actually means to each of them. It's one of the most complete single-season anime in recent memory. Every character gets real development, the pacing is consistent from start to finish, and the show sticks the landing. It was recognized by major publications as one of the best anime of its year, and that reputation holds up. 13 episodes, no loose threads. Number 7. Violet Evergarden. The show follows Violet, a young woman who spent her formative years in a military context that left her with very little understanding of human emotion or how to navigate ordinary life. After the war ends, she takes a job as an auto-memory doll, a professional writer who composes letters on behalf of people who can't express what they're feeling themselves. The structure is largely episodic in the first half. Each episode brings a new client with a different situation, different background, different relationship, different thing they're trying to communicate. And Violet has to figure out how to translate someone else's emotions into words when she's still learning what those emotions even are. Through that process, her own internal landscape gradually comes into focus. Kyoto Animation produced this, which means the visual quality is consistently exceptional, but the storytelling is what carries it. It's a show about communication, about what people leave unsaid, and about what it takes to understand something you've never been taught. It can be heavy. It's built that way. But the payoff by the end of the 13 episodes is proportional to what it puts you through to get there. Number 6. Samurai Champloo. Worth flagging up front, this one runs 26 episodes, so it's longer than everything else on this list. It's not a one-sitting watch, but it's on here because it's one of those series that comes up every time someone asks for recommendations. And for good reason. The course setup is 3 people traveling together through Edo period Japan who have almost nothing in common and don't particularly like each other. Mugen is an unpredictable, aggressive brawler. Jin is a composed and technically precise swordsman. Fu is the one who brought them together with a specific task to complete, and she's the only thing keeping the arrangement from falling apart on a daily basis. Directed by Shinichiro Watanabe, same guy behind Cowboy Bebop, and it carries that same DNA of strong episodic storytelling with a consistent through line. The anachronistic style is one of its most distinctive choices. Edo period setting with hip-hop beats, breakdance-influenced fight choreography, and a visual energy that still holds up. Each episode is largely self-contained, which makes it easy to watch at your own pace while the overall journey keeps building toward the finale. Number 5. Grimgar, Ashes and Illusions. Most isekai work by giving their protagonist an immediate advantage the moment they arrive in the new world. A special power, a built-in system, some reason they're different from everyone else. This one does not do that. A group of people wake up in a fantasy world with no memory of their previous lives, and no particular skills. They join the lowest available rank of volunteer soldiers and have to figure out survival from the ground up. The show is slow-paced by design, and that pacing is the point. It takes its time showing what it actually looks like to be ordinary people in a world built around combat when you're not naturally good at it. The emotional weight of the group's dynamic, how they rely on each other, how they handle pressure, how they process difficult situations together, is where the show puts most of its attention. The art direction is notably different from most action anime, using a softer, more watercolor-influenced visual style that gives it a distinct atmosphere. It's a single complete season with no follow-up, so the story is fully contained. If you've gotten tired of isekai that hand everything to the main character immediately, this one is worth your time for how deliberately it takes the opposite approach. Number 4. Bakano! Bakano drops you into multiple storylines running across different time periods simultaneously, without much setup or explanation. The 1930s, Prohibition-era New York, a transcontinental train, various intersecting characters and factions the show trusts you to keep up, and the non-linear structure is fully intentional. It takes a few episodes to get your footing, and that's part of the experience. The cast is large mafia families, alchemists, thieves, gangsters, people with unusual circumstances, and the writing gives real weight to even the characters who seem like minor players early on. It's from the same author as Durarara, and that approach to ensemble storytelling carries over. Everyone has a perspective. Everyone has a reason for being there, and the connections between them are what the show is actually about. Once the structure starts making sense, going back to earlier episodes changes what you see in them completely. It's one of those shows that rewards attention. At 13 episodes, it's efficient, it never drags, the action is well executed, and the payoff for tracking all the moving pieces is worth the patience the first few episodes ask of you. Number 3. Great Teacher Onizuka. This one is the longest entry on the list at 43 episodes, so it's not going to fit in a single sitting. But it earns its place here because the drop-off rate once people start watching it is genuinely low. It has a way of keeping you in it. Eikichi Onizuka is a 22-year-old former biker gang member who decides he wants to become a teacher. The reasons he gives at the start are not exactly professional. He ends up at a school and gets assigned to a class that has a reputation for making teachers quit, and the dynamic between him and his students is what the show is built around. The balance between comedy and drama is what makes GTO work over that episode count. It's funny, Onizuka is a ridiculous character, and the situations he ends up in are written well, but the show also takes the students seriously as characters with real histories and real problems. It doesn't use their situations as background detail. It engages with them. The series is from 1999 and the production reflects that. But the writing holds up and the character work is strong enough that it doesn't feel like it's age most of the time. Number 2. Death Parade. The premise is that when two people die at the exact same moment, they're sent to a bar called Quindecim instead of moving on. A white-haired bartender named Decim runs the place, and his job is to have the new arrivals play a game darts, air hockey, bowling, whatever's available while he observes them and makes a judgment about their soul. The games are the framing device, not the actual point. What the show is really doing is using the pressure of those situations to surface who these people were, memories, choices, relationships, things they never resolved. Each episode is a new pair of guests, a new game, and a new story being reconstructed piece by piece. The anthology format keeps the first half of the show varied in tone and subject matter. Running underneath the individual stories is a longer thread involving Decim and the people who work alongside him, which develops gradually and gives the series its backbone beyond the episode-to-episode format. 12 episodes, completely self-contained, and the show uses that compact runtime well. It's the kind of anime that holds your attention not just through what happens, but through the questions it keeps raising about how people should be judged and what that even means. Number 1. Puella Magi, Madoka Magica. On the surface, this looks like a standard magical girl show middle school girls. A cute mascot creature offering them powers, colorful transformations. That framing is intentional. The show uses those familiar genre signals specifically to set up something that moves in a very different direction once it gets going. If you go in expecting the typical setup and get thrown off early, that's working as designed. The story centers on Madoka, an ordinary 8th grader who gets approached by a creature named Kyubey with an offer, make any wish you want, and in exchange, become a magical girl tasked with fighting witches. The offer seems straightforward. The more she learns about what that contract actually involves from a mysterious transfer student who seems determined to stop her from accepting, the more complicated the decision becomes. At 12 episodes, it's one of the most efficient anime ever made in terms of setup to payoff ratio. Every episode builds on what came before. The tone shifts are handled precisely, and by the finale, the show has earned everything it's asking you to feel. It's been one of the most discussed and analyzed anime of the last 2 decades for a reason. Not because of spectacle, but because of how deliberately and carefully the whole thing is constructed. And that wraps up the list. 10 anime series that are complete, focused, and actually worth your time. Whether you went for the mystery, the comedy, the isekai, or the action, every single one of these has a real beginning and a real ending, and that is rarer than it should be. If you liked the video, smash that like button and subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. Go ahead and ring that bell too while you're at it. Share this one with whoever in your group is always asking what to watch next. They'll thank you. Catch you on the next one.